The old baseball saying, we're not talking contract once the season starts, no longer seems to apply. In just the last 2 days, 4 players getting contract extensions. Jackson Merrill of the Padres, Christian Campbell, Garrett Crochet of the Red Sox, and then Ketel Marte of the Diamondbacks. Here's that deal, by the way, for Marte. Look, they're rewarding him. He was already signed through his age 34 season. Most anyone is a diminishing asset after that as a baseball player. The new deal will secure his services through age 36 and with a player option, age 37 season. A bit puzzling, but okay, he's now their franchise guy. You know, Marte got some play in Arizona's World Series run 2 years back, but he's still kind of a stealth star. Let's show you what we mean as we do a little digging in. Ketel Marte is the #1 second baseman in baseball. That comes right from our series top 10 right now. So he's obviously an outstanding player. Last year, he deserved to be 3rd in the National League MVP voting behind only Shohei Ohtani and Francisco Lindor. But more than that, this is a guy with an exceptionally high ceiling. Marte has had 2 seasons where he's been a viable MVP candidate. 2019, when he was really under the radar, he was 25, and last year, age 30. Look at the slash line each year. It's a nice slash line, big batting average, good to excellent on base, big time power as well. Slugging .592 while playing center field in that first year, slugging .560 playing second base last year. And that's a huge part of this, right? Big production from defensive positions. This is the high ceiling. Marte is now a regular second baseman, and last year was a plus fielder. He was +10 in defensive runs saved. That's a big number. And over the last 3 seasons, he is far and away the best hitter among players currently at the position, at bat for at bat. There's a big gap in OPS plus between Marte at #1 with that 130 OPS plus, and then the rest of the field. Brandon Lau, Jeff McNeil, and then Marcus Semien. But a few extra nuggets now. Again, the overall is excellent, but the ceiling is still very, very high. Now, first, #1, I know this could be flighty, but he's an excellent postseason player. 96 plate appearances, 385 on base, slugging .589. This can fluctuate, of course, right? It's flighty, but it also could mean that he hits good pitching. And also, #2, Marte is a switch hitter. Good as a left-handed batter, but an absolute superstar as a right-handed batter. Here are the hitting leaders in baseball last year, on base and slugging, with Marte put in as a right-hander alone. Judge, Ohtani, Juan Soto. Look at these numbers. Weighted runs created plus 100 is league average. Ketel Marte is only being out-hit by Aaron Judge. He's a better hitter as a right-hander than Ohtani and Juan Soto. Slugging percentage, .701 for Aaron Judge. He's the only guy out-slugging Ketel Marte from the right-hand side. Slugged .679 last year. And with the new metrics, this is also interesting, Marte from the right side only, he doesn't show up on the regular leaderboards, but he has the 4th fastest swing in the game, trailing only Giancarlo Stanton, O'Neal Cruz, and Kyle Schwarber, and ahead of Aaron Judge. He swings big, he swings hard, and from the right side. He is almost the best hitter in baseball. That's the high ceiling. All right, we'll talk Ketel Marte, but I want to know what you think. As we're talking about this, if he's their franchise guy, on X, at MLB Now, who do you think is the best Diamondbacks player of all time? Marte is sneaking up in that conversation. We'll ask the panel first. We have Ron Darling. We have Joel Sherman. Good to see you again, Joel. And Ronnie, it's good to see you back on the show. This is his debut. I'm just making a big deal. Not that we don't love you. This is his 2025 debut. Good to have you. Your thoughts quick on the Marte.
Well, first, I loved your alliterative stealth star, because that really is what he is. I was lucky enough to cover the Diamondbacks as they made their run in 2023, and you alluded to that he is his best against good pitching. The good pitching in that series, especially against Philadelphia, Ketel Marte was up to the task each and every time. I think it's the way he's kind of started his career. Usually this is saved for a player that has just been with one organization. But it feels like he has only been with one organization, even though he signed as a 17-year-old with the Seattle Mariners. There, he was known as good field, no hit, and as soon as he grew into his body and moved to the Diamondbacks, he has been one of the best offensive players at his position with his generation of guys. If you see him without his shirt on in the clubhouse, he looks like a free safety in the NFL. So he's a guy, as we start to think about him aging, I think will age well.
Okay, that was the puzzling part, is they had him through basically all of his prime and maybe his best years. This seems like if Paul Goldschmidt was still with the Diamondbacks, this seems like the deal you'd give a guy. Say, look, you're our franchise guy. Maybe we're overpaying you a little bit. We pay you as you're older. Your thoughts on them doing this deal? They didn't have to.
Yeah, you know, Ronnie said something interesting. He started with Seattle, not Arizona, but he's kind of become the face of this, even though, you know, his partner in the booth, Keith Hernandez, starts as a Cardinal, but he's the face of the Mets by the time he's done playing there when he's with the team. I think a couple of stealth things about your stealth player. #1, he lowered his contract by $5 million this year for a team that didn't finish doing the stuff they wanted to do in the offseason because they kind of hit their budget with something like Corbin Burns. They still think they are probably going to need a relief pitcher or two. Did the core player just give you $5 million this year as part of that short term? And also, they're kind of putting together, they have, because they want to go for it this year. Zach Gallen's a free agent. Merrill Kelly's a free agent. Eugenio Suarez is a free agent. Josh Naylor's a free agent. They're doing a go for it year, but also this offseason, extended Perdomo, extended Brandon Pfaadt, brought in Burns. Now this, Corbin Carroll signed for a long term. This is a team understands they're playing the Dodgers. They do have a core group that you feel can take a shot at the playoffs every year, and he's clearly part of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's an outstanding player. But take a look at sometimes when you double down on a player. We talk about these again. We do this show all the time. We look at team building, and a lot of times you go on, hey, we did that first deal. Let's do another deal. And look, these are all great players. Look, a lot of them, like Longoria and Perez mainly, like they were vastly underpaid the first time, the first bite of the apple, as we call it, Joel. But then the second bite of the apple, it's like, that's a long-term deal, a lot of money. David Wright got hurt. A lot of times these can be dicey.
What was fascinating, like, to use the David Wright on this subject, is Sandy Alderson was in charge of baseball operations with the Mets. And he said the problem is never the first contract, it's the second one. And he ended up giving the second one. Now, there was pressure there, right? The ownership of the team loved David Wright, the fan base loved David Wright, and they did it. And he ended up having something you couldn't have kind of seen coming perfectly because of the bad back. Nevertheless, that second contract is often the one that bites you.
But it totally makes sense, right? Because the second contract comes when you're at that age, that's kind of a little
and you're
iffy,
looking
right?
shiny and spry.
I mean, you're 28 or 29 years old, but this contract is going to take you through that 35 year. I retired when I was 35. Almost everyone retires when they're 35, even if you have a long career. But what happens is that you are a face of the franchise, and then what you want to happen is that you know that at 35, this is not a place to go with an extension, but you overlook it. Because the player is so important to your organization, maybe as important on the field as it is off the field.
Yeah, well, later on, again, think of who's the best Diamondback all time. A lot of guys were there for a short period and then left. Marte could be that guy. Let us know what you think on X. Welcome back. MLB Now is brought to you by Blue Buffalo.
The showdown is not meant to cause offense or harm. The viewer acknowledges any reliance on the accuracy or completeness of said content should be done at their own discretion. The host apologizes in advance for any affront as a result of personal attacks.
Joel Sherman making his 2025 debut in the showdown. But I used to cover boxing for a long, long time. This is like when they take a fight at the last minute. You go, now this guy lives in the gym. Yeah. He's ready. He's always ready. You're ready.
Yeah, you know, you get one opportunity, you got to take advantage of it.
Garrett Crochet extension. I had people call me and say, you got to be kidding me with this guy's track record. Now, when I heard it, it struck me as, wow, that's a good thing to sign him now. He is that good. When I looked at the baseball reference page, you would look at it and go, really? Like you're $170 million for that. Where are you on that?
Unique. Nobody has ever gotten a nine-figure extension, contract, whatever, with this few innings. Nothing near it. Closest to Tyler Glass now, about 400 more innings than this guy had. Here is the pressure point, though, BK. The Red Sox traded 4 guys, including their last 2 first-round picks. You don't want this guy for just 2 years. And if he pitches like he does in 2 years, it's probably going to cost double this to keep him. And so
right, but that is 2 years, and he's not his contract year, so there's nothing he can do this year anyway. You can talk to him again next year. That's the argument.
Yep. Look, it's a dangerous one. Even last year, pitching a full season, in the second half of the season, he didn't pitch more than 4 innings in any start.
Yep.
Now he's going to be asked to be the ace for a team that wants to play all the way through October. I am curious what this looks like. Let's play it this way. To your point, there's 4 free agent years on this, right? On a 6-year deal, you got 2 and 4. Would you make the over-under, like it's 120 starts possible? If it was 90 and a half, would you go over or under for him for those 4 years?
90 and a half.
Like total starts for the 4 years of the free agent years. In other words, like we got 2 years, then he's signed for another 4 years, right? You'd like 30 starts.
He's young enough. Actually, he's young enough.
I'd go under because the history is he hasn't shown us he could do this, which is why this is so dangerous.
And he's blown out once already. The thing is, I wonder how much I'm swayed even right. His spring training was great. He came in ready. Actually, last night, 8 shutout innings. He looked great.
The stuff is blow you away.
Yeah.
It's about durability, not excellence.
Am I wrong to like Major League Baseball and minor league parks? I really like what I'm watching. When I see it on TV, it strikes me, and I would think even for a viewer, I'm flipping channels. I can go to anything I want. I can go to Netflix, and then suddenly I see, oh, you're playing at Steinbrenner Field, or you're playing in this bandbox in Sacramento. I don't know. I'm sticking around. I'm not saying it's a good thing for baseball. I like watching it.
Yeah, I'm always worried about unintended consequences. We just saw the Cubs score 35 runs in 3 games. It's going to get really hot there. Steinbrenner Field, they took away a lot of the games in July and August because they know the rain situation. The rain situation is a humidity situation. The dimensions are Yankee Stadium dimensions, especially when you think right field. I wonder if this will be better than torpedo bats, that these 2 ballparks will use offense. Again, unintended consequences. And if it was just this season, BK, I'd be like, okay, you got to live with it. But the A's are going to be playing probably there for 3 years.
Oh, yeah.
Where are the Rays going after this year? That's what concerns me about it. It's the novelty, a game, a year, but we're maybe talking multiple years for 2 major league teams.
You're right. And you say, wow, Major League Baseball, you have 2 clubs playing in minor league parks. However, I'm going to speak your language. It's a good TV show.
Yeah.
Right? And the TV audience can be larger than even. And if you're drawing 12,000 fans, like which in Oakland and Tampa Bay, they kind of were 14,000, 15,000. Now you pack the place.
And just as somebody who spends a lot of time in the Tampa St. Pete area every year, will probably be reminded that if a ballpark's going to get built, it should probably be built in that city. I'm sorry, I'm about to offend Tampa, but like people do not want to go across the bridge to St. Pete. And I think you'd get
beautiful.
I think a ballpark in Tampa would actually be very successful.
What's the next torpedo bat? What's the next big thing? That's, as we said, hiding in plain sight. Why didn't we think of that? What's next?
It was hiding in plain sight, and we didn't think of it. And if you think about who did think about it, it was a guy with fresh eyes.
Right.
It's an MIT. So front offices now are filled with people with fresh eyes. And we have a technology now with artificial intelligence, with AI, something's going to come out of it. And you know what everybody's working on harder than anything is injury prevention. Because if you could even get to saving 5%, improving by 10% of how many people you put on, or the durability, clearly around arms with major leaguers, can we train different? Can we eat different? Whatever it is, that's where it's going to be.
At Sabre Analytics, by the way, 3/4 of the whole thing was biomechanics. So it's definitely going in that direction. My thing still is, like what I wrote about like 8 years ago, the one thing, everything else was taken as regular operating procedure in baseball, all my crazy ideas, except for one, Knuckleball Academy. Where's the fleet of knuckleballers in the game? You don't train people for that. It's hard to hit. It's an unfair advantage. We haven't seen that in a while.
I think that there's, with new techniques about teaching people catching, though maybe this will go away with ABS, I've wondered about catching academies. Like, in other words, if you could learn to frame better. And that's
Aren't they doing that? That's where it came from.
So J.C. Esquera, who's the backup catcher for the Yankees, was a first baseman in the Baltimore organization. He's now the backup catcher for the New York Yankees.
Catching Academy.
Yes.
The next big thing right there. All right.